The search for the East High School shooting suspect is over. High-ranking law enforcement source says that 17-year-old Austin Lyle is dead.
The Park County Sheriff says a SWAT team found a body close to where they found the car of the suspected shooter. Let's get straight to our Cole Sullivan, who's live in Bailey.
Alex, Kyle, this press conference just wrapped in the last 20 minutes or so with the Park County Sheriff. He confirms exactly what you said. About 2/10 of a mile from that red Volvo that police have been looking for all day, they found a body. And a senior law enforcement source tells 9 News that is the body of Austin Lyle, the suspect in today's shooting at Denver East High School. Let me give you a context of where we are right now in relation to East, because we're a pretty long way away. We're about 30 miles from East High School to the west in Bailey, Colorado. That's in Park County, just west of Conifer. This is a rural area just about up Highway 68 here where they found this body, and the sheriff had a shelter in place issued for a 5-mile radius around where we are right now. He had a message for folks who are in this area tonight as well. Take a listen.
They should feel relieved that that we came up here and solved the problem, and that we don't have to wait around until tomorrow morning or next few days on something like this. So it's over. That's what I can say for tonight. It's over with.
So this was the scene here in Park County off that rural mountainous road on Highway 68 as officers from a number of different departments arrived to search for this suspect. The sheriff says that this all began, or excuse me, the superintendent here in Park County says that there was a ping off the suspect's cell phone in Conifer, and that's what started law enforcement looking in this area. The sheriff says that his officers, as well as federal agents from the ATF and also Jeffco deputies, waited until the Jefferson County SWAT team arrived. They had some armored vehicles and a convoy we saw pull through around 5:30 or 6 o'clock this evening. That is when they began searching the area around that Volvo for Austin Lyle. They found him 2/10 of a mile away. This all started a little before 10 o'clock this morning at Denver East High School. Lyle, DPD says, shot 2 administrators at that school this morning just before 10 o'clock. It happened in a front office near the school's entrance. He was being patted down by those school administrators, the officials say, as part of a daily routine that was part of Lyle's safety plan, the district called it, that enables him to go to that school. The chief says, the DPD chief says, that they never found a gun on him before until today. He shot those 2 administrators and then fled that scene, leading to a 12-hour manhunt nearly that stretched across multiple counties here, ending here today in Park County, as you heard the sheriff saying. It's over.
Cole, I want to go back to what the sheriff said, where he's talking about them going up there and taking care of it. Do we have any indication that law enforcement engaged the shooting suspect in any way, face-to-face or otherwise?
No indication at all that happened at this point. The sheriff deferred lots of questions to Denver police, saying that's their investigation. He said the body was found about 2/10 of a mile from that car, and they didn't start looking for it for a couple hours until the SWAT team arrived too, Kyle.
All right, Cole Sullivan, thank you.
Started hearing little gunshots, but I didn't know they were actually real.
Second month in a row, students at Denver's largest public high school were on lockdown after a shooting. There were still flowers out front after 16-year-old Luis Garcia was fatally shot there in February. Both of the people shot today are deans at the school.
Gerald Mason is out of the hospital tonight. Eric Sinclair is still there in serious condition after a surgery for life-threatening injuries.
You're a hypocrite.
You haven't done anything.
Hypocrisy. Are these your armed guards right here?
You're not doing your
Now,
job.
armed guards right there.
No, you don't appreciate anything. You're not doing your job.
Mayor Michael Hancock and Police Chief Ron Thomas were confronted by parents outside of East this morning, people begging them to take action to keep the community safe.
Come on, you guys need to get it, be on top of it. These are our kids. I don't want to come and get my kid and have her take her to the funeral.
9 News reporter Jennifer Meckles joins us from outside East tonight. And Jennifer, this afternoon, the superintendent decided to go around the school board to bring armed Denver police officers back into schools.
Yeah, Kyle, this is defiance of the school board's policy on SROs that Dr. Marrero, the superintendent of Denver Public Schools, says they're now going to bring 2 armed Denver police officers on this campus through the end of the school year, as well as adding back armed officers from the Denver Police Department at high schools around the district.
That decision came in the form of a memo to the school board today. Today was my 4th visit to Denver Health's ICU due to victims of gun violence, Marrero wrote to the board. These events should not have happened on my watch or on this board's watch. Marrero then informs the board he is putting 2 armed DPD officers at East High School through the end of the year, plus at least 1 armed officer at other high schools in the district, and promising ongoing conversations with those principals about their needs. I acknowledge this action likely violates Executive Limitations 1010, he writes, pointing to the 2020 board decision to remove Denver police from campuses. However, I can no longer stand on the sidelines. I am willing to accept the consequences of my actions. The school board has not answered our questions about what those consequences could be. At East High School today, students and parents weren't sure they could come back.
Today's his last day here. Like, get all your friends, Instagrams, Facebook, whatever you need, but because you will not be coming back here no more. Today's the last day.
Kids and teachers at East High and staff should not be expected to show up physically at school here. The risk is too great.
When I do go back, I'm going to look at my surroundings, and if I don't see no safety, then I'm not going back, and that's what I want to see, safety.
Late this afternoon, the Denver School Board released a statement saying that they do support the superintendent's decision to put armed officers back on campuses through the end of the year. But the board didn't comment as a whole, Kyle, on that memo in which the superintendent says, I'm defying policy here by doing this. We do expect to hear more from the board leadership tomorrow at some point.
And just a reminder for folks, Jenny, who don't follow schools all the time, the superintendent works for the board. They are the elected body. He is their employee. They tell him what to do. So, I mean, he really was putting his job on the line today by bringing DPD officers back into schools. It was just 3 years ago that that decision was made, and we should mention it was unanimous on the board.
It was. At the time, it was an interesting conversation and a different, context of conversation around students and what was going on in 2020 with protests and, social justice. And to your point, though, the board gives the superintendent directives. The directive they gave him was this policy with SROs. So he's acknowledging that he's doing something different. I'll be very curious to see if there are, in fact, any consequences, and maybe there won't be. I'm not sure.
Jennifer Meckles reporting from East. Thank you. During Jenny's report there, we got some new information that clears up one of the biggest questions that we talked about earlier in this broadcast. A law enforcement source tells 9 News that the shooting suspect, Austin Lyle, died by suicide in Park County. Based on the sheriff's wording, it was unclear whether they had some involvement with his death. But again, now law enforcement sources telling 9 News that the East High shooting suspect, Austin Lyle, died by suicide.
Today's shooting happened just weeks after a student at East High was killed. Someone shot 16-year-old Luis Garcia near campus. He passed away at the hospital, and family laid him to rest just this past Saturday. 9 News reporter Kelly Rinke spoke to Luis's brother, who continues to ask for change.
Sorrow still lies outside East High School for a student who was shot near campus last month. A community hasn't even had time to heal before another shooting.
I knew it was going to happen again. I warned as much people as I could that it was going to happen again.
Santos Garcia continues to advocate for change after the death of his brother Luis. Someone shot the 16-year-old next to East while he sat in his car.
It's dumb that we haven't, had any physical solutions been brought to the problem.
For weeks, Santo has been asking for an armed officer at every DPS school. The district says this morning the 2 security guards at East didn't have a gun.
I talked to the principal and the deans and some of the staff here, and they wanted police. This is not just an East problem, I guess it's a community problem.
The superintendent says he's committed to adding 2 armed officers at East for the rest of the school year and an armed cop at every high school. For a brother in mourning, the decision came too late for students and staff today.
They could have been avoided if there was a cop there, to prevent anything like this from happening.
Santos wishes he didn't have to talk about violence, but he feels he has to speak up because his brother can't.
And I think he would want me to do everything that I could so that I could have an impact on that.
Earlier this month, students organized a gun violence summit with school leaders and elected officials. Back then, Santos said he was discouraged, felt like not enough promises were made. And today he said he's going to continue to push school board members to do something.
Yeah, I'm glad you talked to Santos because it reminds us kids, specifically at East, who've been through 3 lockdowns this year, they're done asking for prayers and hugs. They're demanding and deserve actual change.
And it's the loss of his brother that is, really motivating him to continue this conversation.
Kelly, thank you. As Denver reels from the shooting at East, people in Boulder are remembering the tragedy 2 years ago today. A gunman walked into the Table Mesa King Soopers and began shooting, killing 10 people. They were parents, community members, shoppers, workers, and a police officer. 2 years later, and the store is now open, Boulder time and time again continues to demonstrate their resilience. Community members came together tonight honoring those lives lost. Coming up at 9:30, we'll see the community is remembering the victims in a special way. Plus, we'll hear from one of the victims' daughters and a very bittersweet message she has to share. The suspect's case is still on hold. Doctors say he's not competent to stand trial, but he could be potentially with the right treatment. Prosecutors in Boulder County have pushed for a more comprehensive mental health assessment, but a judge disagreed. We're expecting another update to his case next month. We know this has been a tough day for families in Denver and in Boulder with the 2-year mark since the King Soopers shooting. You need a little extra help tonight. Colorado Crisis Services is there, available 24/7. Call 1-844-493-8255 or text TALK to 38255. You can also access resources through the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Just dial 988.